What you guys, got another action cam for you. This is the MGCOOL Explorer Pro 2 sports camera. It's a 4K action cam with the all-winner chipset in there, version 3. Now, as you can see here, it comes very well packaged, so it's got no chance of getting damaged in transit to you when you order yours online. And as you can see, this is everything in the kit that you get. You can pause the screen here, but these are all the brackets, camera, casing and stuff like that that you'll get inside your package. Now, this is the Explorer Pro 2 version. This is your user manual. This is going to help set up your camera. You can see it lists all the attachments and what they're for, adapters, helmet base and stuff like that. So you've got helmet attachments and things like that. So all color pictures and English text for easily set up. Very easy to set up these. Touchscreen on this one as well, which is pretty nice. This is the newer version of the older type that you've seen where you don't have a touchscreen. So you've got some sort of buckle here, another housing here, and also some other attachments. You can read all the attachments here. This one is pretty obvious. It's the bicycle handlebars attachment or motorbike handlebars attachment here. And also you've got some cable here. This is your USB cable to charge your device. There's no charger in here, so you will have to charge it whilst it's inside the camera unless you purchase one of those. And again, this is the action cam itself. Now, the action cam does come in a waterproof housing. Up to 30 meters you can go underwater with this housing. There is the bracket system here. You can remove this and put on new brackets. You've got a Sony lens on there also, and 20mm the actual lens size. This is your power button to power it on, your action button here on top, just to take snapshots and start video. And you've got your navigation buttons here as well. It is also touchscreen as well. So this is a 2-inch TFT 320 by 240 screen resolution screen, and as you can see here, we have our housing on here. So I'm just going to quickly remove this. You just pull this little latch up the front and this will release the camera from its waterproof housing. Remember, you must have it in this housing if you are going to use it under the water. So as you can see here, just make sure you wash this out with normal water if you're going in the sea with it, just to get rid of any salt residue or anything like that inside the actual housing there. Now also, as you can see here, we have the actual action cam itself. It has this rubber sort of coating on it here, and this is the Sony IMX179 sensor on here, which is a really nice sensor on there. 20mm, 170 ultra wide angle view on this one. You've got your power mode button here and the Explorer Pro 2 logo with the MGCOOL on the front there. So it does have a rubbery texture on the front here, and I'm just going to pull this off so you can see that lovely 2-inch touchscreen here, which is nice and useful. Saves you going through the old clunky menu system that you used to have to do. Inside the battery bay, you're going to get a 1050 milliamp hour battery, and you can also get new ones of these as well on Amazon and eBay and places like that. You can also get a charger to charge those without charging it inside the camera, but if you want to charge it in the camera, you can do. Now on the side here, you're going to have HDMI and also USB and your micro SD card. Make sure it's a class 10 micro SD card up to 64 gigabytes. You have an LED light on the top which illuminates blue, and your action button so you can take snapshots and stuff like that. And also we have our navigation buttons on the side here, as well as the touchscreen as well. So that's pretty much the camera here, and it's pretty straightforward and easy to use. Once you get used to these, they're all pretty much the same. Let's just power it on and take a look at it. You can see the MGCOOL logo there lighting up. And you can use the application on Google Play Store, where you can control this via Wi-Fi on your mobile phone if you wish to do that. Okay, now you can see we can just hit the cog on the screen, and this gives us the video resolution, and you can see 4K 25 frames per second and so on. You can change all your resolutions there right up to 1080p at 60 frames per second and 720p. Who would ever want to use that? I don't know, at 120 frames per second. But you've got slow motion on here, loop recording, white balance as well, slow motion contrast, exposure, and also photo resolution. That goes up to 16 megapixels. I'll try and show you a couple of photos of those. It's not the best photo camera really, to be honest. If you're going to take photos, get yourself a proper camera. The lens is too small in my personal opinion. But if you do want to take snapshots, you can do up to 16 megapixels, okay? And I'll show you a couple of examples a little bit later on. So let's go back here into the menu system, time-lapse mode, continuous lapse, burst photo mode, which means it takes loads of photos one after the other, which is quite a nice feature for this particular type of camera at this price point. Language, loads of different languages on here. Date and time upside down. So the camera was set to upside down when I started recording this, which was a mistake. You can see here driving mode. You can use this as dash cam as well. Wi-Fi here, up to 12 meters on Wi-Fi. LED indicator, screensaver, power saver, also date stamp. This will put the date onto the video. Format, reset, and your firmware version as well. And you can see it here. So if they ever release any newer versions, you can just quickly change the firmware version on your action cam here. So you get the bonus of using this as a dash cam as well, and you got the slow motion on there and the time lapse as well, which is pretty nice. Now this is some footage here of 4K, and this is only 25 frames per second. Now again, remember guys that YouTube will compress this down. I'm only rendering this out at 1080p as well. Now I always find that these cameras, some of these cameras perform better at 1080p at 60 frames per second, even though they offer a 4K option at 25 frames per second. You can see the quality on there, and you can make up your own mind what you think of it. I always think that sometimes at 60 frames per second 1080p is plenty ample, unless you're going to be doing some real 4K stuff, and in that case you wouldn't be getting an action cam. As you can see here, 2K 30 frames per second. That looks a little bit better than the 4K at 25 frames per second in my personal opinion. Looks a bit clearer. And again, I'll show you what it looks like for 1080p as well. I did do some microphone test here, but it wasn't the greatest. So let's move on to 1080p at 60 frames per second, and this is probably my personal favorite, because I think at 60 frames per second at 1080p that's pretty much ample for what you need with this little camera, and it's pretty nice. So it depends on what you're really after. Now also at the bottom you'll notice the writing is upside down. That's because I left it in upside down mode. I forgot to take the tick out, and of course that doesn't affect the quality, it just means I had to rotate it, that's all. Now without the gyro stabilization on there, you can see it's very erratic and it's a bit all over the place, and that's because you've got nothing to stabilize the image. You can use gimbals and stuff like that to steady the shot, and that will work perfectly fine, and you can purchase those pretty cheaply on GearBest and places like that. So I took some extra footage here for you at 4K at 25 frames per second, just so you can see the differences and movement, and there you go. And I've also took a couple of little snapshots here at 16 megapixels just so you can see it. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed the review. My name is Brian from briteccomputers.co.uk. Thanks again for watching guys. Hit that like button, and I shall see you again for another video real soon. Bye for now.